All right, you're watching TVC Breakfast. Let's get into our next discussion right now. Preparations are in top gear for the inauguration of U.S. President-elect Joe Biden, who will become the 46th President of the United States. His inauguration is going to look vastly different than those, or different from those of his predecessors, given the ongoing coronavirus pandemic and heightened security concerns after a mob of pro-Trump extremists violently breached the U.S. Capitol 2 weeks ago. Now, Mr. Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris will take the oath of office in front of the Capitol building overlooking the National Mall. Normally, a crowd of hundreds of thousands will be there to witness a significant moment in American national life, but this time the size of the crowd is being severely restricted this year. Thousands of National Guard Reserve soldiers have been deployed at the Capitol and around central Washington, D.C., as all 50 U.S. states and the District of Columbia are on alert for possible violent protests. Now, President-elect Biden's work appears cut out for him already. He must begin a unification process for the country that is witnessing both a political and health crisis. So joining me now in the studio is God Bless Otobere, Global President, ready to lead Africa, and Biden-Harris African Diaspora Team Promoter. It's nice to have you join us in the studio right now.
Thank you so much.
Now, let's start, first of all, the inauguration of the President of the United States is like a glorious day across the world, where people are watching, billions of people are watching from across the entire world. Now, but let's talk about those who are present at the inauguration.
Yeah.
It has become a bragging right at a time when, especially Trump comparing himself with the previous Obama's inauguration and all of that. But naturally, as it is right now, due to COVID-19, it seemed like we'll be having all that crowd, visiting the inauguration or being there as guests.
It's going to be heavily rolled back. It was already going to be rolled back substantially before what happened at the Capitol. Yeah. So right now, it's even worse because, with the precautions of COVID and now you have security challenge, we're not going to have that National Mall, Lincoln Memorial and Washington Monument kind of, you're not going to have that.
Now, the inauguration this year is going to be very different. Yeah. Now, the point there is, we all know America has established its inauguration protocols where everybody knows what to expect at what time and all of that. So you just know this is how it goes. It's a ritual. But this year, talking from the window of security, the deployment of 25,000 National Guard troops. Talk to us generally. This is unprecedented.
Absolutely unprecedented. And when you look at, I was talking to some of my friends in the U.S. and someone said this is the first time where you have more troops in D.C. than you have in Afghanistan, Syria, and Iraq combined. It's like where the police is now policed. Where the protector becomes the protected, To a lot of people who are watching, it is not real, but we're taking it every day as it comes. So on the security side, it has been a very traumatizing experience for people who look up to the U.S. for that level of smoothness and transition of power. And for a lot of people, we just want to see this go by very quickly. Yeah. And see some sense of normalcy return to...
And some feeling of freshness. But before we go into the Biden-Harris, build up to their inauguration and what to expect, let's go back a little bit to the event that happened on the 6th of January. A lot of people, it was something no one really expected, where people, Americans, who a lot of people across the world see them as people who understand democracy, who have lived democracy, who enjoy and emit and breathe democracy, would, one way or the other, find their way into the Capitol building and disrupt a constitutionally ordered process of the Congress. What went through your mind that day when you saw all of those?
What happened at the Capitol is, if you analyze what happened at the Capitol without looking at the things that happened before
then, okay,
you will be doing yourself a great disservice. When you read the book Strangers in Their Own Land, it tells you what 75 million Americans who voted for Trump think at this moment. They feel left behind. They feel like their power is being taken away. There is a demographic shift. There's an economic shift in the U.S. There's an ideological shift in the U.S. But at the foundation of what the United States is, this is actually the experiment, right? You look at what the people that came from England and met the Powhatan tribe at Jamestown, it was all about experiment. So to lay claim that you own the land, and suddenly as the society evolves, you now see that the very foundation of this experiment, you no longer seem to be comfortable with it, you get edgy. That's what has been happening. So with Barack Obama coming, the resentment was already building. So when Barack left and then Trump came, Trump knew that there was a sizable crowd, what he calls the silent majority, that he had to whip the sentiment of that fear to say, look, if you don't fight like hell, like he said on the day of the insurrection, you're not going to have a country anymore. He wasn't saying that the 81 million people that voted for Biden wouldn't have a country. He's telling the 75 billion people that you wouldn't have a country anymore because, somehow a lot of them feel like we used to be in the front when it comes to getting food.
Exactly.
Suddenly,
we used to be the priority.
We used to be the priority, but now there's some brown people, I don't know, where are these guys? Because that's the analogy. The analogy is, some white people, not all of them, feel like we used to be the first in the line. And when we look back, they're uneducated brown people or whatever color they look like, who we sometimes give stuff to. But then we woke up one morning and these guys are in front of the line, right? These guys are in front of the line and we don't even know if we're going to get something. Then someone came and said, oh, I can take those guys off the front of the line and put you back in front of the line.
Where you belong.
So you don't think they'll listen? So they've been listening to that lie that has been, happening for too long. Yeah.
But you see, the point there is the beauty of the American democracy and the system is that sometimes you don't even have to go through the books to know that we have imbibed this. It's part of our lives now for Americans. And for any American to begin to still think in that regard, after that ideology, when they talk about the American dream and all of that, one would say not even all Americans understand the American dream. But when it comes to Americans getting used to imbibing that ideology of America being a way of life and not just a destination, not just a geographical location. It seems not even all the educated people understand this in the United States.
Okay, so there's another angle that I'm going to be very careful in bringing right now in this analysis. Beyond the place and the food and access and opportunity, there is another one that a lot of people may deny, but it is called religion. Yes. You give a man, there are a lot of things you can take away from a man or from a people. But if you try to take away their religion, they will throw their education off and they will renounce everything that they've always known and they will fight like hell. So another thing that was happening in America was that as the society advanced, and secularism took stage, the idea that there is no one dominant religion, but that every idea should be listened to and tried. The fact that none is superior, a lot of people couldn't cope with that idea. Yes, we imbibe the idea that this is America, but underneath, this is a so-so country. This is not a so-so country. So beyond opportunity that was going away, there was also
and even the issue of the
religion.
First Amendment that gives freedom. There is still some underlying realities in there.
So you can see that, and when that happened, and I was discussing with some of my friends in the U.S. and some of our partners, and we analyzed it using the lens of education, and we found out that no matter how well educated a man is, every human mind can be manipulated. That is why in Africa today, a professor, maybe of law or physics, whatever, can still bow to a rickety, old-looking man in a uncompleted building who calls himself a babalawo.
Yeah.
They may not have bowed to a babalawo in the US, despite their education. They bowed to lies. They bowed to fear. They bowed to the idea that we are losing something that is a part of us.
Well, it's okay. Well, this is bringing perspectives to understanding that real American life, I must say. Now, there is a move to President Trump is the first president of the United States to be impeached twice, and right now the discussion as to whether the Senate is going to convict him and then do the needful in that regard is still on. Now, the earliest that the Senate can get the report from the House of Reps today, Tuesday.
You're right.
But, however, people are saying, well, why, as a way of uniting the country, because we've had a divisive, and all of that, as a way of uniting, why don't let's sleeping dogs lie? The man is out of office already. Just allow him go and let peace reign. Some analysts are saying that.
Let sleeping dog lie depends on, it shouldn't be close to you. Because the dog can wake up and bite you.
Okay.
Right? You are letting sleeping dog lie, but it shouldn't be close to you. Because the dog can wake up and it's going to bite you. So before I go on this, I wanted to say something again. So you talked about the entrenchment of that idea.
Yeah.
81 million people knew and believed in the entrenchment of that ideal called the experiment of the United States. Those were the Biden voters. Those are the Democrats and the independents. Those are the Republicans that switched from Trump. So it is not all lost that with all the things we analyzed on opportunity and religion, that education went out completely. There were still 81 million people who believed and have imbibed the American experiment. And they said, come rain, come shine, we shall see this.
To the end.
Right? To the end, because it's the work of how do we build a more perfect union, as Barack Obama would always say. So coming back to Trump, and let's unite the country. No, that's not the United States of America. That's not the way it works. That's what you find in third world countries. Oh, no, just don't worry, just let that one go. You will let another one go. You will let another one go. Another one will go, and then it becomes a culture. You no longer have a democracy. Right outside before I came onto the set, there were other people going into other parts of your studio to, be part of a guest, and when we're having this conversation about what is the difference between our society and the West. And I said, it's simple, accountability. People are held accountable for wrong behavior. I was reading yesterday that the Lagos state government has started putting cameras at traffic lights, and then there's automatic billing and all of that. And I said, though late, but appreciated.
Exactly.
Right? What does it do? Go run the traffic light. Run it.
No one is going to come after you.
Nobody's coming after you now. Because
but you will face the consequences.
But you face the consequences. Yeah. So we don't, if you like, be an honorable and run the traffic light. The thing will bill you, raise the receipt, and you must pay.
Exactly.
So all the people that have been running traffic lights in Lagos continue running it. But now Lagos State is saying, we are advancing. Trump will be tried in the Senate. Americans will not say, oh, let us unite because we've been through a divisive. So the people that saw the division, why didn't they say he should stop? Like, I don't get it. Suddenly it's time for accountability. You're saying we should, no, come on. The American system doesn't work that way. And no, it doesn't work that way.
All right, it's interesting. What are you expecting tomorrow? Tomorrow will be the inauguration. It still remains a glorious day across the world, one way or the other. But what are you looking at generally?
We will see the coming back of an American democracy that has been tested heavily within the last 4 years. Though some of us wanted to be on the ground and just be there with President Biden and the Vice President and all the people in the administration. But we believe that it is going to be a statement of the resilience of the American democracy and the fact that when a people are tested, the best of them comes out, right? And that is what we're going to see tomorrow. It's going to be heavily scaled back. It's a sorry sight to see military deployment as we now have in DC.
Yeah.
I mean, for anyone who has been in DC, you understand that DC is one of the most secured cities in the world. But it's almost one of the freest places for you to move around. Like, you can literally walk through the National Mall all the way to the Lincoln Memorial and go out through to the Washington Monument. And you wouldn't even find, I mean, where you find police would be, Secret Service will be within the White House, and just a few,
a little around the Capitol,
nothing.
Otherwise, you move around. You don't see, you see everybody else, everybody.
People jogging without clothes on, and
especially in the morning.
In the morning,
that is amazing.
Amazing, like, I cannot even believe it that this is DC. DC is like my best place in the United States. So to see that there's going to be a transition, just 2008 when Obama became president, we saw the crowd. And then Trump became president. We also saw the crowd, though not as as he would have said, but to see that he would not even be attending the inauguration. It's just sad to see. But I mean, we move like we say in Nigeria.
Of course, we move. But although Mike Pence has said he'll be there. But on the first day of President-elect Joe Biden taking over, it is expected that there are some series of executive orders that he might be signing.
Yes.
Can you run us through some of these and understanding how very busy the schedules will be for him?
I mean, his work is cut off for him. First thing to do, after noon, when he's sworn in, the first thing he's going to do when he gets to the White House is to undo the Trump travel ban. That's the first thing he's going to do. Undo the travel ban. And I think he's also going to rejoin the Paris climate
declare
accord,
the climate change.
and then also do a lot of roll back some of those hate policies that Trump has put in place through executive orders. And also from day one is to see how he brings the science community together and the medical experts to curtail the spread
of the COVID-19
of the virus. And then if you look at the plan to set up vaccination sites in the U.S. and roll out, working with the local government, the states, and all of that, it just tells you how ready Biden and Kamala Harris are currently trying to
ready to take off.
They're ready to go. They're fired up and they're ready to go. So big ones, the travel ban. You look at the Paris climate change, the Paris climate accord, and I think the Iran nuclear deal. I don't know if that's going to be like
maybe subsequently, but not on the first day.
Yeah, but I know that there are a few things. But he's also going to be revealing some acting secretaries, right? Yes, they're not sharing the names now because they're trying to protect them from the Trump administration. Because if you look at it, as at the time. 12 years ago when Biden and Barack came into office, by this time, he already had 6 cabinet members confirmed. Now he's going into office and none has been confirmed because you have a Senate that, we still have like 2 new senators coming in from Georgia. Well, the whole problem with the impeachment trial and all of that has been delayed. But I believe that Biden and Kamala will pull through.
All right. What challenges do you see Biden facing generally? Because he's taking over a country that has so much work to be done right now. What likely challenges would he face?
He's going to face half the country who still struggle to believe he's the legitimate president. That's the first thing. And beyond everything we've analyzed, I also think that because, the Russia collusion investigation, that a lot of people felt like Trump was not a legitimate president because they felt like Russia had helped him to become president. If you look at it, and with the end of the Mueller's report, though there was no clear connection, so to speak. It didn't exonerate Trump that he got help from Russia because Russia wanted him elected. So that is not even disputed. What you would have is that Biden is going to be facing huge challenge, especially within the home front and even foreign affairs when it comes to how he repairs the alliances with Europe, how he builds trust amongst African countries, and that is why top of his agenda is to reset the African policy direction. And that is what some of us are really interested in and why we're part of the Build Back Better plan. Like I'm the vice president of the Mandela Washington Fellowship. He's going to improve on that, increase the funding, increase the support to the continent. And also, I'm believing that with all of these challenges, I'm sure that he's ready. He's putting the right set of people in place, and he's going to be working with a lot of Africans.
Okay, now let's draw all of these lessons home one way or the other, because when in fact the system of government we run right now, remember in 1979 when the then or in 1978 when the then General Obasanjo had to go to America to bring in the American presidential system of government, which we're running as it is. We make references to the standards of what the U.S. democracy is. Now, if we bring it back home, what lessons do we have to learn? You were saying earlier that if it is Nigeria or maybe on the African continent, a lot of people, politicians can say, okay, no, let bygones be bygones, but America understands and upholds the fact that no one is above the law, not even the president. What lessons do we have to learn in building our institutions where whoever you are, you need to bow when the institution is upholding its own tenets and its own standards?
And I think a man gave us the possibility that we can be like that. His name, Goodluck Jonathan. He bowed. He left office. He conceded. He called. Unheard of. So are we learning? I think we've learned. The only problem, however, is the will and the clarity to implement the ideals on a large scale. That is the problem. So what Jonathan did is our lesson learned from the American system, because, I mean, you see, Hillary had called Trump when she knew that he was going to win. And Jonathan took clue from all of this precedent to do what he did in Nigeria. So I'm talking to every politician, every public office holder in this country. If you find yourself in between making a decision to allow the system and institution grow, please don't follow Trump's, you need to follow Jonathan's precedent, right? So for us, I just think that we must begin to know. When you were saying that thing, there's a quote on one of the walls, the Justice Department. It says, where law ends, tyranny begins.
Begins. That's true.
When law ends,
really true.
Tyranny begins.
Okay. Well, we have to end it here now. Thank you so much. God bless Otubere, the global president, ready to lead Africa and Biden-Harris African Diaspora Team Promoter. Thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you so much.
We look forward to how tomorrow is going to be.
Absolutely.
We'll all be following the developments. I'll be here certainly in the mornings.
Okay.
But when we leave here, we'll certainly be following what's going on
Thank you so
in
much.
Washington. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.